Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm doing the Nope Trope book tag. This book tag was created by Zoe's All Booked, who is a great booktuber that I love. I will leave her video link down below. I was also tagged to this by Lily from Lily Eleanor Reads. I think that's the name of her channel now. I love Lily, she's a great booktube. We've talked quite a bit and I really enjoy her content. I would also leave her video link down below. If you don't know who she is, go check her out. She's amazing. The whole point of this tag is that every question is based on tropes that Zoe dislikes. I also dislike, I think, all of these as well. I think most people in the book community dislike them, so it's just like a general hatred. There are 6 questions in total, and like most tags that I do, I have picked multiple answers for all of them. So let's just dive straight in. The first trope is eavesdropping with miscommunication, which are 2 of the worst things that ever happen in books, and together they're even worse. I hate them so much. The question is, name a book that you heard great things about but ended up hating. I actually have 4 answers for this, but I'm going to go through them quite quickly. The first I've talked about quite a bit on this channel and on Twitter this year, and that is How It All Blew Up by Arvin Armadi. I thought I would love this book, everyone was talking about it, but it's genuinely, I think, the worst book I've ever read. So the next one is It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han. I loved To All the Boys I Loved Before. I read this series, god, like 5-6 years ago. I actually finished the whole series because at that point I had to finish series, I couldn't not finish them. And I hated it so much. A lot of people love this series, they say it's like the best YA contemporary romance trilogy, and I just don't get it because I hated the characters, I hated the romance, I didn't like any of it. So another recent one is The Bookish Life of Nina Hill by Abby Waxman, which I thought I would enjoy but I ended up really hating. This is an adult romance book that I listened to on audio. I mentioned it in my June wrap-up, I think it was, and it was just not great. The main character in particular ruined the whole book. She was awful and everything she did was awful. So, and my final answer for this question is Looking for Alaska by John Green, which is one that I read in like 2013. I really enjoyed The Fault in Our Stars, but this book I just didn't understand the hype for. I thought it was really boring. I just didn't get it. I don't know why, I just didn't get it, so I don't like it. The next trope is love triangles, which is actually one that I don't like hate. I don't know why, I just don't despise it as much as other people. I think it's because my favourite series, The Infernal Devices, is one big love triangle, but the way that ends is very different to most love triangles. But I don't know, I don't hate them, like they're not an automatic turn off for me like most people. The question is, name a series where you can't pick your favourite book. I have 2 for this, so I'm just going to talk about them. The first one is The Sin Eater's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury. I read all of these as they came out, so 2015, 2016, 2017, a year apart, all 3 of them. So I can't really pick a favourite. I think I need to reread them to pick a favourite one. I'm not sure which one will be. I have a feeling it'll be this one at the moment. Like, this is the one I have the most nostalgia attached to. I don't know what my favourite book is in that trilogy, so. My other answer is another trilogy that I really need to reread and then make my decision, and that is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I think Illuminae will be my favourite, I'm not sure, because Illuminae and Gemina follow 2 different sets of characters and then Obsidio kind of brings them together, but I loved each one as they came out, and every time the new one came out I'm like, oh no, this is my favourite, this is my favourite, and I'm honestly not sure which one it is. These will be quite a quick reread, so I might reread these soon. The next trope is I'm not like other girls and I didn't know I was beautiful kind of vibe, which I hate so much. That's part of the reason I hated The Bookish Life of Nina Hill, because that character really had that kind of vibe and it was terrible. The question related to this trope is name a book that has a pretty cover but was boring as hell. I have 2 for this, both of which I've read in the last year or so. The first one was my least favourite book of last year, and that is The Beautiful by Renee Ardier. I was really excited for this book, waited in a massive crowd and spent money at a stall at Yelk just so I could get this book, and I don't know why, because honestly it was awful. It took me like a month and a half to read. I just could not get into it. Everyone said it was like the vampire comeback. There are no vampires in it. I don't know what people were talking about. It was just like, I don't know, I don't get it. Like, I don't get the love for this at all. It's a very pretty cover though, I do like the cover, but not my favourite series. And the other book is one that I got sent unsolicited for review from the publisher earlier this year. I think it was in like March or something, and that is Thorn by Intezar Kanani. I like this cover, I think this cover is beautiful, and I wanted to like it because it was an Asian fantasy, but I just found it so boring and I didn't care. Like, I genuinely can't tell you a thing about this book, like, not main character, nothing, plot, nothing. Literally, I don't know a thing about this book. It's like I didn't even read it, but I just found it so boring, and again it took me like over a month to read, which is a long time for me. The next trope is the all-consuming love, so when they meet each other and they're obsessed with each other and they can't spend time away from each other, which I don't despise. Like, I don't like it. I think it's kind of lazy, but it's not something that I particularly hate. However, I can understand why people don't like it because it's not realistic at all, but in a book I don't mind it as much. I don't know. The question is, name a book that gave you a book hangover. I have 3 because I get book hangovers quite a lot. Like, I finished reading an amazing book and I cannot stop thinking about it for ages. Most recent one is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I don't know what it was about this book, but it just would not get out of my brain. I had to put off watching the film because I knew if I watched the film now, I would not be able to stop thinking of this story. It took me so long to read this book. I've had it since 2012. I read it like 3 months ago, so it's been a while. However, I love this book. I highly recommend it. It's amazing. Another book that put me in a bit of a hangover was The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I adore this book. Like the rest of BookTube and the Booktonet, I think this book is fantastic. I listen to it entirely on audiobook at the gym. I really need to get back into listening to audiobooks at the gym because it's a great way to get through them. The ending of this book had me gripped. I was at the gym on the rowing machine, but I had to like stop and just listen to it for about 20 minutes. I was saying the people in the gym probably thought I was a weirdo, but I could not stop thinking about this book. The ending, I still remember it very vividly, and I need to reread this soon. And the final book hangover I want to talk about was probably my first book hangover, and that is Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. I remember the day this came out, I also had a One Direction concert that I had to go to, and I didn't really want to go for some reason, even though I liked One Direction, but I was like, no, I want to read my book, and I was so annoyed about it, especially because I read like half of this book in that day already, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like, I was there, I was watching One Direction, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening with Will and Jem and Tessa? I need to know. And then the ending of this book broke me. I think it broke most people when they read it because it's like insane, but it's what a book, honestly. The final trope is the douchebag boyfriend, which is such an annoying trend. I hate it so much. It happens a lot in romance. I read a lot of romance and it's just such a pain. The question is, name a book that took you a while to get into but you ended up loving. And for me, I also have 2 for this because it's me. Most recent one is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. This is another one that I've owned since 2012 but only read like 2-3 months ago. I put off reading this because I don't really read historical fiction and I struggle with it, and it was a struggle to get through this to begin with, but when I got like a quarter of the way through, I was obsessed. I couldn't stop. I really wanted to know more about everything that was happening, and this book is now one of my favourite books. So, and the other one is my favourite book of last year, and that's American Royals by Catherine McGee. I really need to reread this. It's currently the 1st of August when I'm filming this. The sequel to this comes out September 1st, so I have a month to wait, and I am so hyped. I just really want to reread this in the lead up to the sequel because I think I'll love the sequel even more when I reread this. Yeah, I didn't expect much from this book because no one was talking about it. I got it like I think 2-3 months before it came out, got it as an ARC, and I ended up obsessed with it. I could not stop reading it, so I adore this book. It's so underhyped. It's probably my favourite underhyped book. Like, I don't know anyone who talks about this. There's probably 2 people I can name. That's because I met them at an event and we were talking about this together, but more people need to read it. And the last question is to name your favourite and least favourite tropes. I don't really care a lot about tropes. I don't know why. My favourite is definitely enemies to lovers. I don't know why, I just love that. I kind of love more like bantery friends to lovers in a way, because friends to lovers is kind of boring, but when you have that slight banter aspect of it in there, I love that. And that's why I love the enemies to lovers aspect, like the bantery part. My favourite trope is probably childhood friends to enemies to lovers. It's the best. My least favourite is probably miscommunication because I hate it. It's so annoying. And then like a surprise pregnancy or something like that. I don't like it. I want characters to actually talk to each other. I also really don't like the whole lost princess thing, and I don't know if it's a trope, but I hate fae in books. I just hate them. I don't know what it is about them. That's probably why I don't like Sarah J Maas's books. I just don't like fae in books. So that was the Nope trope tag. Thank you so much, Zoe, for creating this. I had great fun doing it. Thank you, Lily, for tagging me. I'm not going to tag anyone directly, but if you want to do it, do it. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.